Hello and welcome to the Movies Past and Present podcast. It's January 31st, 2021, and this is episode 62. I'm your host, Stanford Clark, and I'm podcasting from the crossroads of the West in beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah. Just like my blog, moviespastandpresent.com, I'll be providing recommendations, commentary, and reviews about current and classic cinema. Thanks for tuning in, and let's do this thing. Hi everyone, I hope you're all having a nice weekend. This weekend, I guess technically yesterday, January 30th, marks the third anniversary of my website, of moviespastandpresent.com, and the third anniversary of the blog. So, happy third anniversary to me. Thank you, really mostly to you for listening, for your support, for your feedback, and for our common interests and love of the movies. So, new in theaters this weekend is, again, not much. A couple of comeback classics, though, that you might want to be aware of. Given that Groundhog Day is happening this week, Groundhog Day is back in theaters. The great 1993 movie with Bill Murray and Andie MacDowell. It's just one of the great romantic comedies, I think, of the 90s. And such a funny movie, and actually quite a poignant movie. So if you're not interested in seeing that in the theater, maybe I think there are a lot of options where you could stream that or rent it. So check out Groundhog Day if you haven't seen it, or if you haven't seen it for a while. Also back in theaters is the football drama Remember the Titans, that stars Denzel Washington. So I think that's the bone that Disney is throwing us to go see a movie in the theater. I also think that The Emperor's New Groove from Walt Disney Animation Studios still might be playing in some select theaters, so you might want to check that too. Speaking of Denzel Washington, one movie that actually is new in theaters, but it also is playing on HBO Max, because this is a Warner Brothers release, and Warner Brothers through this year, through 2021, is releasing their new films day and date, both on HBO Max and in theaters, is a crime drama called The Little Things. And The Little Things, as we mentioned, stars Denzel Washington. It also stars Rami Malek and Jared Leto in this psychological thriller. It's written and directed by John Lee Hancock, and it's about this sheriff or deputy sheriff that played by Denzel Washington, who was living in this rural California town, and he gets sent to Los Angeles for what should have been a quick evidence gathering assignment, and instead he gets involved with a murder investigation that the character played by Rami Malek, who's a sergeant there at the Los Angeles Sheriff Department, pulls him into. Leto plays a real creepy suspect. But anyway, I watched this movie on HBO Max, and I didn't love it. It wasn't, necessarily my thing. Again, great actors, right? And then I also think John Lee Hancock is a very competent director. He directed The Blind Side, that stars Sandra Bullock, Saving Mr. Banks, which was that interesting film about the development of the Mary Poppins film at Walt Disney Studios. He directed The Founder, which is about Ray Kroc and McDonald's, that starred Michael Keaton. Anyway, he's a very good. I think he's a very good director. It's basically trying to be a modern day film noir, and in some ways it succeeds. The creepiness level was quite high, particularly with the Jared Leto character, and always in film noir, the characters, particularly if they're involved in law enforcement or they're detectives or whatever, they're very conflicted, and their devotion to truth and righteousness, I guess we'll say, is somewhat ambiguous. So I know that's what makes it interesting, but not necessarily my thing. You might like it more than I did. But hey, I was able to watch it on HBO Max, so there you go. The Little Things is rated R for violent and disturbing images, language, and full nudity. So anyway, you got some options if you wanted to mask up and go to the movie theater. It's going to be interesting to see what happens during the traditional Hollywood award season. From like January through, I swear, like April. All they do is just seem to congratulate themselves on their work. Some of it is deserved, and some of it you just kind of have to roll your eyes. But the rules have changed because of COVID and because so many movies didn't get released. And so I believe that the Oscars are still happening, but later, and they've also changed their deadline from like the end of December to the end of February for when the movie's got to be at least have spent a week in the theater to be considered eligible. And there's also some other stuff going on. But anyway, the American Film Institute, or also known as AFI, they not that they're going to necessarily have a formal award show like the Oscars, but they put out a cool list of their 2020 movies of the year, and I'll put a link to this page in the podcast notes on my blog, but they have listed 10 movies, actually it's 11, that they're calling their movies of the year. And so I'll just list these for you, and then you can maybe try to check them out. I know I'm going to try to make sure. I've watched many of them, but not all of them yet. But I'll just go down this list. And so I believe this list is in alphabetical order. They've got Da Five Bloods, which is, D as in Delta, A as in Alpha, Da Five Bloods, which is a Spike Lee joint that was on Netflix, and it's about black Americans that are also Vietnam vets, and I think they go back to Vietnam. I've heard that this is a very good film, and so I've got Netflix again, so I might check it out. It might be a little too gruesome for me, but we'll see. Next up is Judas and the Black Messiah, which I think is played at some film festivals, and then it also is opening up in wide release in February, and I believe I've got it on my calendar. It's February 12th, and it's going to be on HBO Max and in theaters. It's one of those day and date releases that Warner Brothers is doing that we just talked about. Then there's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, which is currently on Netflix. I haven't watched that one yet, but I think it's gotten good reviews. I think that it's a real acting tour de force. Viola Davis plays the lead role, and Chadwick Boseman in his final film role, I think, supposedly just delivers a real knockout performance in it too. So he plays a musician in the band. Next film is Mank, and Mank is on Netflix. Mank is about think it's Herbert Mankiewicz, who was the screenwriter of the film Citizen Kane. And so it's filmed in black and white from director David Fincher. And I started watching Mank, and I didn't finish it. It's on, as I mentioned, it's on Netflix, and I'll see if I can finish it. I just wasn't really grooving on it. But we'll see if I can give it another shot. Be a little more objective about it. Next up is a film called Minari. Now, Minari, I think, also had played at some film festivals, and I think it's scheduled to open up in February. I think actually it opens up on February 12th too in theaters nationwide. It might be playing already in some other places where theaters are open, but I think it was wide release to theaters that are open on February 12th. And it's a film about, if I'm not mistaken, about Korean immigrants coming to the U.S. It's gotten rave reviews. I'm excited to see it. Next up is Nomadland. And this is this I think also has played in the festival circuit. It stars Frances McDormand as a woman who I think lives out of her RV and is traveling across America. And I saw that Nomadland is actually playing in our local, at least here in Salt Lake City, in our local IMAX theater. And that it opened up this weekend. So I don't know how long it's going to be scheduled to play, but we're at least getting it in IMAX, and then I think it opens widely in February too, just in regular theaters. I mean, February is tomorrow, but so anyway, something to look out for. I think February 19th is the date that No Man's Land opens up, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that. I've heard rave reviews about it too. One Night in Miami. That is a film I just watched it too a few days ago. That's on Netflix. That's the movie. It's directed by Regina King, and it stars, or it's a fictional setting. In like a kind of a what if there was an evening where Muhammad Ali, I guess Cassius Clay, Malcolm X, the singer Sam Cooke, and then Jim Brown, the NFL star, and also the actor, all got together. And so there's some real drama to it, but it's terrific acting and really a smart script by screenwriter Kemp Powers, and I think it's worth seeing. It really is an interesting treatise on Black America then and now. Speaking of Kemp Powers, the next film on the AFI Movies of the Year list is Soul from Pixar Animation Studios. Kemp Powers wrote that screenplay and was a co-director of the film. And also co-directed by the Pixar great Pete Docter. But Soul's on Disney Plus, and I'm glad to see it got a shout out. I know that it's not everybody's favorite film. I quite liked it. I can't say I just loved it, but I also am going to need to watch it again, and I can because it's on Disney Plus. So awesome. All right, next up is Sound of Metal. Oh, you know what? I think I just need to mention, go back, One Night in Miami. If I'm not mistaken, that's on Amazon Prime. If I said Netflix, I'm sorry. I meant Amazon Prime on One Night in Miami. Because this next film, Sound of Metal, is also on Amazon Prime. That's Sound of Metal is the film with Riz Ahmed, where he plays the punk rock drummer who starts to go deaf. And anyway, again, rave reviews, and I've got to watch it. Last one on this list of the 10 is The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is on Netflix, directed by Aaron Sorkin, and it's talking about this group that protested at the Democratic National Convention in Chicago in the 1960s, and it's well made. I won't be surprised if it does well in this unusual award season that we're about to embark on for films. But that's one you can see on Netflix. One final thing that they added when I said that there were 11 films, the 11th film that the AFI awarded as one of their movies of the year is a special award for Hamilton. So again, just the wonderful musical from Lin-Manuel Miranda, which has been a theatrical, Broadway smash and everywhere else it plays. And then they put it on Disney Plus this summer as, I think, kind of a COVID gift to all of us to have something to watch. So anyway, the AFI 2020 Movies of the Year, again, I'll put a link to this on in the podcast notes on my blog. All right. For this month's 3x director, 3x is my series that I do monthly where I pick a director whose work I respect or I want to learn more about, and I watch 3 of the director's films. So this month's director is Nancy Meyers. Nancy Meyers is one of the most successful, at least from box office receipts, directors working in America. And she's got a really distinctive style, which I find very appealing and very comforting. She does great romantic comedies that are really focused on grown-ups and grown-up situations, and I've just again admired her work. So she was born in 1949, grew up in Philadelphia. And then she's been a screenwriter. Her first screenplay that she worked on was for the Goldie Hawn comedy Private Benjamin that was released in 1980. And then she married a dude named Charles Shire, and they collaborated on some films together. I think probably most notably with their collaboration, they did those Father of the Bride remakes that starred Steve Martin and Diane Keaton and Kimberly Williams Paisley. I think Martin Short shows up in those, but those were fun. She and Charles Shire have since divorced, and then she's been directing films on her own. The first film that I picked from her work, and this is the first film that she directed by herself after her divorce, was the remake of Disney's The Parent Trap. And that, as you may recall, film starred Lindsay Lohan, a very cute and young Lindsay Lohan, as the twin, playing these twins that meet up at camp after being separated at birth when the parents got divorced. The parents in this film are played by Dennis Quaid and Natasha Richardson, and nobody loves to remake films more than the Disney studios, but and the 1961 Parent Trap is pretty great. If you've never seen it, it's the one that stars Haley Mills, and Brian Keith, Maureen O'Hara. I mean, it's really, it's pretty great. But I think Nancy Meyers really brought a very distinctive touch to this particular remake. And and she, even though it's a remake, but she made it her own. One hallmark of Nancy Meyers films is that the stuff that I've read, and I agree, is that she always puts her characters, particularly, her lead characters, in these incredibly beautiful homes. And, probably many of them are film sets, but they're so inviting. It's a place that you would want to live in. And this was no exception. One thing I love about the 1961 Parent Trap is that Brian. Well, actually, they both couples have the spouses, the ex-husband and wife, have got such great residences, particularly Brian Keith's residence, his kind of ranch house. But anyway, same thing here. Dennis Quaid's kitchen is just like you would just never want to leave that house. But still, I think it's a really charming remake and charming film, and it's available on Disney Plus if you haven't seen it or haven't seen it for a while. I think checking out Nancy Meyers' The Parent Trap is, could definitely be worth your while. The next film of hers I picked, which was one I had seen when it came out in the theaters, and I haven't seen it for a long time, but I loved rewatching it, was Something's Gotta Give from 2003. This is a romantic comedy. This stars Jack Nicholson and Diane Keaton. Jack Nicholson plays this eternal bachelor. He's just this, and he's well into his 50s, if not in his 60s. I can't remember if they say his age in this film or not, but he is no spring chicken. But he's got a real taste for young women, and so he's dating this young woman that is played by Amanda Peet, and Amanda Peet takes him to their family, I guess like their beach house. And it looks to me, they might say where it is. It looks to me, I don't know if it's on Long Island or if it's in a place like Martha's Vineyard. Anyway, again, it's a house that you just want to like live in, right? Just this beautiful environment again. Particularly this incredible kitchen that Nancy Meyers has in all of her films. But Diane Keaton plays the mother of this young woman that who the Jack Nicholson character is dating, and Jack Nicholson character has a heart attack, and they rush him to the hospital, and anyway, he ends up staying in this beach house, and Diane Keaton kind of helps him get back to health, so he get back to New York, and they end up starting to fall in love with each other, and she's a long time divorced, and is going through her own set of emotional issues, still dealing with that, and then he's just been a jerk, and just how and then he's finally met and is starting to fall in love with a woman closer to his age, but who's also very accomplished and real. This is, I think, such an excellent film, a wonderful romantic comedy that's again just made for grown-ups, and I think Something's Gotta Give is absolutely terrific. So another one to consider if you've never seen it. I believe I rented it off of Apple iTunes, but it's a winner. Something's Gotta Give. So the final of the three films I picked of Nancy Meyers was one I hadn't seen. It came out in 2015. It's called The Intern, and it stars Robert De Niro and Anne Hathaway. And it's a really got an interesting premise. So Robert De Niro plays a widower who is is, you know, a very functional. He's just a very healthy, functioning person. I mean, he misses his wife terribly, but he's just a decent, good man. And he replies to this. There's this request that goes out that he sees that of a clothing website that is looking for older interns. And he's got time and availability, and he's just kind of like, what the heck? And so he signs up, or he throws his hat in the ring to get this internship at this internet startup company that's run by Anne Hathaway. So Anne Hathaway plays this businesswoman who's very much kind of a type A person, but compassionate and really capable. She's also married and has a young child, and her husband is staying home and being Mr. Mom. So this movie really, I always, and just maybe the way that the preview played, and again, I missed it in theaters, and it wasn't so much that I didn't want to see it or that it looked bad. It's just like one of those that you just miss, and but again, and I also thought it was just going to be given the title and the focus of it is it was going to be on Robert De Niro. Really, this movie is about Anne Hathaway's character for the most part. I mean, even though they both share a lot of screen time, but Anne Hathaway's got to figure some stuff out. Her marriage is going through some issues. She's wondering because of that if she needs, and I think some of her investors or some of her management team is wondering if maybe they need to bring somebody else in to run the company, and then she can focus on doing some other things. She really doesn't want an intern, but one of her coworkers thinks that she needs one, and it turns out that Robert De Niro is just the guy for the job because, in a way, he becomes, sort of a father figure. It never gets creepy, but he's just, again, he's a good man who helps her. He tells her the truth, and she becomes a better leader and really a better human being because of it. Both the actors are so good. I mean, Robert De Niro, hello, and then I think Anne Hathaway is terrific too, and together they really do well. Of course, it's got the beautiful interiors that are part of a Nancy Meyers film. But again, this film is less romantic comedy and more of a kind of an exploration of a modern workplace, and then kind of the impact of modern relationships within this context. And it this one was a little more hit and miss, frankly, for me. I just didn't think everything really landed. And some stuff, like, again, the pacing was a little weird. Some aspects of it were a little jarring and seemed out of place, while others fit just, perfectly, and I thought were really resonated with me, mentally and emotionally. I love the character arc for Anne Hathaway's character in particular, and also just so nice to, I just don't think that we give our elders in our American society enough respect. And I love how Anne Hathaway's character comes to realize the wisdom of this man who's serving as her quote unquote intern, but honestly he's really more of a mentor and a coach. And again, what a blessing it is in our lives to have these adults that have experience and can teach us, and wouldn't it benefit us all? And I'm speaking to myself, to respect them more and to listen to them more. So that part I really liked. Again, little uneven script and some weird stuff that happens, but still in a lot of ways a good film. And again, I just came away just feeling just a lot of respect for Nancy Meyers and her work. Well, that does it for this episode of the Movies Past and Present podcast. Again, links and more information about the movies discussed in today's podcast can be found in the podcast notes on my blog at moviespastandpresent.com. Subscribe to the Movies Past and Present podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Stitcher. Links are also on the blog. Also follow me on Twitter and on Instagram. I'm at MoviesPAP as in past and present. As always, I hope you'll enjoy some good movies this week, whether they be from the past or present. And until next time, thanks for listening. Be safe and dedicate yourself to the truth.